Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit True Off My Chest, and it's by user NewDragonFruit996. I hate my best friend, but I'm going to be her bridesmaid. I met my best friend 10 years ago when we were 16. I didn't like her at first, but she saw me laughing and decided she was going to be my best friend, so she would constantly make conversation until I couldn't ignore her and we became best friends. We were both outsiders, with us moving from different schools at around the same time, so we never had other friends but each other in our final years of school. As we grew up, we kept our friendship and remained just as close. About 4 years ago, I met this boy named Jacob. He was my first boyfriend. I've never been pretty, and he was the first guy to show me attention outside of hookups. He took me on my first proper date. We started to plan to move in together and discuss our future. I was truly happy. But then, after a year, he said words that made my stomach drop. He asked if I would mind if he could start dating my best friend. I can tell you the exact details of that day. I had just finished work. I had a perfect day because my favorite dog had come in and I was on my way back. My phone rang in the car and Jacob said he wanted to talk. He told me he had been talking to my best friend for a while and that he fell in love with her and wanted to know if it was okay to start dating her. She also felt the same way about him, but said he had to get my permission before they took things further out of respect. Sophie, my best friend, has always been the pretty one, which has never been an issue. Of course, she is beautiful. I tell her that all the time. So in my head, it made perfect logical sense. I just said it was fine. I packed Jacob's things up out of my house and handed them to him with a smile and congratulated them. It wasn't until the next day I even cried or got angry, but ever since the resentment has been building. It isn't like a "I hate this bitch" kind of resentment. I'm still her friend, but it's like I can't be with her for longer than a few hours or everything she does starts to annoy me. Why does she look at her phone so much? Why does she expect me to buy her so much? Why is everything she says only about her? Why does she talk over everyone? You know? Just those tiny things you used to ignore become unbearable, so I have to make an excuse and go away. Well, now 3 years after the breakup, they are getting married, and she wants me to be the head bridesmaid. I don't want to say yes. The thought of it makes me feel sick. I hate my best friend so much, I don't want to be a part of her wedding, but I know I will say yes, because if I say no, it will make her unhappy and I'd become the bad guy. So I'll be the head bridesmaid whose one and only boyfriend left her for the bride. And I'll smile and act happy. Maybe the universe will have mercy and have a truck run me over on the way to the rehearsal dinner or something. Wow, OP, there is so much to unpack from your story, but the first thing that comes to mind is that you need to work on your self-esteem, definitely and urgently. This person is not your best friend, regardless of what you think and how your relationship started. I mean, sure, she was kind enough to ask for your permission to start dating your boyfriend. What the hell? She was talking to him behind your back all the time and, establishing a bond, falling in love with him and making him fall in love with her. But no, she's really cool and she's really nice because she wants your permission. Excuse me, Sophie, but get bent. And your boyfriend, what was his name? Douchebag? Yeah, he sucks, so just forget all about him. And all those things that you call tiny things that make it unbearable to be around her, like why does she talk over everyone or why does she make everything about herself, those are just personality traits of somebody who's absolutely self-involved and doesn't care about other people. I wouldn't go as far as to call her a narcissist, but she's pretty much on her way. Also, I think she and him are the bad guys here. I don't see how you could see yourself as the bad guy if you say you don't want to be at her wedding. So yeah, OP, you just need to say, no, I don't want to be your bridesmaid, I don't even want to be at your wedding, and just work on yourself. And finally, I have to say that I do hope that the universe treats you better than you hope it does. And what do you guys think? What would you give OP as advice if she asked for any? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Fool Copernicus says, quote, "If I say no, then I'd make her unhappy, then I'd be the bad guy," end quote. So be the bad guy. There's nothing wrong with doing what you want for yourself. If that makes you the bad guy, F it, you are the bad guy. What are they going to do? Hold you at gunpoint to be embarrassed at the wedding? Not go through with the wedding? Not talk to you anymore? You don't seem to like her as much as it is anymore. And Opie responds, fine, but if they hold me at gunpoint, you're gonna feel really guilty. For real though, I know what I have to do, but it's like, you know when you just don't want to deal with the fallout? The messages and the dragging of your name through the mud and the anger, it's so tiring just to think about it. Putara Divi says, you need to just cut ties completely. You don't need a car to hit you to stop dealing with her. You don't even need to ever speak to her or accept a response. You write whatever you need to say on a blank document on your phone, even if it's just, I've never forgiven you and it's time for both of us to move on. I'm blocking you. Please don't contact me again and I will do the same. Goodbye. Or if there's more you've never said, say it. You absolutely have the right to still not be okay with this situation, even long after this was done. There's no shame in acknowledging you pretended you were okay with it when you weren't. It's effed up that they did this to you, no way around it, and they have zero reason to expect anything from you at all. So write as much or as little as you need, copy it into a text, and send. Then block them both on your phone and every social media where you are connected. The truck hits when you hit send. It's over. You're alive, and for the first time since it happened, you are free. Raffles79 says, look, it is crystal clear that you suffer from low self-esteem. To put yourself in a better mental state, you just need to cut them out completely. Go nuclear and block every channel of communication. You will feel guilty at first because that is what your low self-esteem is telling you to do, but then you will realize a weight has been lifted off of your shoulders. All of us are telling you that you deserve happiness, recognition of self-worth, and peace of mind, and you will never have that with these people in your life. Additional information from Opie's comment. How we became best friends? When we were in school, she simply changed seats with the girl who initially sat next to me in class so she could sit next to me. To keep myself entertained, we would talk and eventually we found common ground. I found her to be funny and we became the kids who never stopped laughing. It just started, considering that at first I didn't like her and she sat on the other side of the room and I sat next to my friend. She moved my friend when she saw how much fun we had, and no one was mad because it wasn't a huge deal. We weren't assigned seats nor super close, so my friend would just go sit with other people she knew and liked. I was like the new girl, so it wasn't like I had deep established connections. The day Jacob told me about them, I had what I can only describe as an out-of-body experience. It was like I was watching myself do everything through a TV screen. I was just functioning, not actually doing anything, and then when I confronted Sophie, I just kept getting pushback. It wasn't like this. You don't understand. Are you actually my friend? How could you think I would do that to you? By the time I was myself again, I didn't know which way was up. I don't know why I said it was okay. I wasn't in any state of mind to say anything. Also, she sees nothing wrong with what happened because they didn't sleep together while we were in a relationship. It was just talking, so no harm was done. They were just texting. And yeah, it's been 3 years. I have considerably distanced myself. I can go months without talking to them, but when we do talk, all I hear is, "Isn't it great how we can go so long without talking and still be best friends because we've known each other so long?" At first, I think I was hopeful that I would get over it and move on and we can go back to before Jacob was even around, but now it's been 3 years and I'm so tired. But to her credit, she is a fun person to hang around with and we've been best friends for 10 years. It's hard to list all the good things. We laugh for hours, talk for hours, and we have done the dumbest crap together. It's not like we have spent the last decade just existing in the same space with no emotion, doing nothing. Also, I'd like to clarify that when Jacob and I were talking about moving in together, we were looking for a house and talking about the future so we could decide on it. We had gone to actually physically look at houses together. I have a dog that I've had since before I met him, but we were also talking about getting our own, which was another part of us looking at houses. I already have a deposit for a house in my savings, so it's not a fantasy. I can buy a house. Update. So I will not be saying yes or no. I think I'm going to just ghost them. I'm moving states away and I can move up the date from mid next year to February if I want. I know that they'll talk crap about me behind my back, but I don't care anymore. I won't be able to hear it. I'll be a 3-hour plane ride away. I will also block them on everything. They also don't know I'm moving because they never asked or cared, so sucks to be her when she finds out. Because if I don't say no to being a bridesmaid, she will assume yes, and so she will be planning as if I'm involved even if I don't join in. Minor update. I spoke to my boss at my new job about moving up the date of my move to early next year, and they said I can move the date up to late November this year if I want because of the December rush. They will need an extra pair of hands. So I will be gone by the end of the year. I have 2 months to go house hunting and get my stuff down south. Wish me luck. Well, I think the community really helped OP out. She's kinda doing something about it and she's moving out, so good for her. Now, let's take a look at that update to see how the story ends. But before we do that, I'll just let you know that right here I put a playlist for you all that has a lot of stories with updates. Now let's move on. It's been a whole month since I made the post, so I thought I would update you as Sophie now knows I don't like her. Here's what happened. I went to dinner with her, her sister, and another girl I don't know. Let's call her Allison. The dinner was fine. I didn't really say much because I have been really stressed with work and moving. I've been flying in and out of the state trying to sort things out, and my dogs are staying at my mom's house, but one of them just got sick. Basically, I'm dealing with enough. At the dinner, Sophie brings up me and my ex and how I brought them together, and I smiled at first and laughed it off because I didn't want to make a big deal out of anything. Allison said in passing she finds it weird that I haven't dated anyone since. I again didn't say anything because I am not hung up on him, I'm just not interested in anyone. I have my own busy life, and the thought of coming home from work after spending all day pleasing clients and worrying about another person makes me feel drained. Anyway, Sophie made a joke about how I'm secretly in love with her fiance and I'm going to ruin the wedding, and everyone laughed. I just said I won't go. It was like all emotions just turned off and I couldn't even be angry. I didn't care how any of them felt anymore. I said I'm not going and I'm moving, so she won't see me anymore. I told her how awful she was and then left. After that, I got flooded with calls and texts from her asking me what was wrong with me, but I just don't care. I went to work and told them I'm taking my leave, which I was going to get paid out, and now I'm not working. I'm staying with my aunt in the state I'm moving to, and I move into my house next week. My dogs join me in 2 weeks, and yeah, it's not a huge story. I think I am emotionally burnt out. It feels like all this anger built up and then like a sparkler just ended. I don't even want to think about them anymore. I just want to move on and pretend that chapter of my life never existed. So F you, Sophie. I hope your cake has salt in it instead of sugar, and I hope you spill red wine in your white dress. Extended from OP's comments. I don't care about Jacob at all, genuinely. I've been angry at the betrayal, angry at the blatant disrespect of it all, and that they were talking behind my back, but I never wanted him back or wished things were different. Sophie can have him. I am angry at him, it's just that we don't speak, so I can't really say much about him other than I hope he chokes on a grape. And for those of you wondering, I put up with their crap because I'm a $2 doormat with a huge welcome sign on my forehead. But for real, being emotionally burnt out had made me unable to tolerate half the crap I've been through. Even my mother is confused as to why I'm suddenly setting up boundaries. I have actually told her no a few times and it feels so empowering. I feel invincible. Finally, I don't know why everyone thinks Sophie is oblivious and has been blindly unaware of my unhappiness for the 3 years after she and Jacob got together. In my original post, I said that if I tried to bring up anything, she would turn it around on me and get upset. So I have tried to communicate that I am unhappy with her behavior, but she just made it out that it was my fault that I felt that way. After a while, I just stopped bringing it up because an adult having a temper tantrum is annoying to deal with. But whatever, I'm done with all of that. Thank you all for your comments and support. Well, good for you, OP, for being done with all of that and moving on with your life. And yeah, F Sophie and Jacob. However, I still would suggest that you do work on your self-esteem and work on getting over this anger so that that doesn't impede you from future relationships. Take care, OP, and all the best in the future and in your new job. Thank you for sharing your story. And now, let's move on to the mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Tay3600. My failure to plan is now your problem. So, I work in customer service in the automotive industry. As part of the services we offer guests, we perform a state-mandated car inspection so people can register their car with you in the state. It's a simple process that can take about 15 minutes if you book an appointment with us, but every month we get flooded with people who forgot to do the inspection on the last week of each month. It is a mad dash for last-minute appointments to fit people in before they're late. Now, we don't make money off this type of service. In fact, it's a state-set fee and we realistically lose money doing these inspections on labor costs. I preface this to state that doing these state inspections does not benefit my shop, but we do it because it helps our customers. The front door opens to a male Karen coming in on a Friday afternoon midday. This distinguished gentleman, we'll call him Tim, walks in at around 1 p.m. in the afternoon and slaps his keys on the countertop, informing my front counter teammate that he needs an inspection now. Now, understand that even though all of our appointments were booked up days ago, we will still bend over backward to help someone out. We totally get that things don't always go according to plan in life, so we do what we can to help. That is, as long as you're a nice person. When you start trying to dictate how we're going to help you, that does not fly at my store. Tim decided that today he was going to do exactly that. After we advised him he can either wait almost 2 hours to try to work him into a slot as we process our already scheduled appointments, or book an appointment for him next week, Tim lets us know that booking an appointment the following week after the deadline was not an option for him, but he's got time right now, so he's going to generously give us 2 hours of his time, and we need to figure out how to get him in. Cue Malicious Compliance. I stepped in to take over the conversation for my front counter staff who have been dealing with him up till now. Okay sir, we're happy to help. I'll get your keys out to the technician. You just have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Immediately I walked the keys out to my technician with explicit instructions. After explaining to my tech that Tim is acting like a dirty trash can full of poop, I gave the express instructions that we will not even touch his vehicle until 2 hours have passed. Mind you, as Tim sits in the lobby stewing, I have the pleasure of servicing several other customers who set their appointments days ahead of time. 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and even a 7-minute inspection for an all-electric car. Things are flowing so smoothly for all of the appointments who did things the right way, and it's showing on Tim's face. After the first hour, Tim finally has the courage to speak up. I really appreciate y'all trying to work me in, but do you know how long it's going to be? No, Tim. You don't get to be nice now and try to expedite your vehicle. You don't get to be nasty to my staff and still get your way. Sorry, Tim. We're still trying to get it fit in. Like I said, about 2 hours before we can see the truck. Mind you, the lobby's totally empty and all customers have already been serviced early. It's perfect. Fast forward another hour and his multiple attempts to make small talk to amend his horrible manners and treatment of one of my staffers, and his car's finally being brought into the shop bays. Then moments later, my technician walks into the lobby with a giddy smile. Boss, his truck needs wipers to pass inspection. They're torn and failed vehicle. Passing on this wonderful news to Tim, he agrees to have the tech install some because he, of course, did not bring any of his own. At this point, I feel quite satisfied that Tim's learned his lesson with a little additional help from the universe in his needing to also replace wiper blades. But apparently, the universe was not quite done teaching Tim a lesson. His car still failed the inspection. The last part of the test is run by a computer that reads the internal control modules of the car. It's a totally automated process that can't be tampered with or affected by the inspector. The only thing that can interfere is if the cars had the battery replaced and those control modules have been reset. But that's exactly what Tim did. Hours before coming to see me, he replaced the battery and cleared those exact modules. So, at the end of the day, Tim was his own worst enemy and failed his own car, having to book an appointment for the following week. But with a little help from the universe, he hopefully learned a very valuable lesson. The service workers are not your slaves, and always tip your waiters. Oh, Tim, you played yourself. Hopefully he learned a lesson. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.